From the iShin Broadcast Studio, it's the Tool Time Podcast.
Hello and welcome to an all-new edition of the Tool Time Podcast. I'm Eric Garba. I'm an ASE certified master automobile technician and the editor of Tech Shop. Joining me today is Stu Peregrine from Autel. Stu is the Senior Executive of ADAS Sales for North America. Welcome, Stu.
Thank you, Eric. Really appreciate it.
So today we're going to talk Autel. We're going to talk ADAS.
Yeah.
So, Stu, can you give me a little bit of history of Autel?
Yeah. Autel was really developed early on out of a small two-bay gas station up in the New York area. Really an engineer and a automotive pioneer per se came together to make the company what it is today. So you had the best of really both worlds. Somebody that really knew how to fix cars and what technicians really wanted, and then on the other side, somebody that could actually put tools together, develop software, develop hardware, and those two combined and made one of the greatest, in my opinion, aftermarket scan tool providers really in the world today.
Wow, that is awesome. It's great to hear about these companies that started small, like a two-bay garage, and just built, from hard work and knowledge and experimenting, built, a great company.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Stu, and your background.
Yeah, I've been in the automotive industry a little over, 32 years now. Started my career early on as a technician, worked my way up as a master tech. Really a variety of different roles, from a tire tech early on to being in the dealership environment. Then later in my career, service manager, and then really into the tool and equipment side of the industry. As I got out of being a technician and a service manager, I found that really helping tools and helping technicians with the tools needed was really what my calling was. So it's been a really fun ride. I've spent my whole career really invested in the automotive industry and really around tools and programs to help shops and technicians alike be successful.
That's awesome. Great history. A very similar experience that I had as far as being a technician. So you know what it's all about. You've been there and definitely been there. So you may even know partly what I'm about to say here is that, when I was in the industry, just about the time that I was getting out of being a technician and moving on to some other things, that's when ADAS was starting to get really popular. So initially there was a lot of apprehension surrounding ADAS. And where do you see the industry right now as far as technicians and their level of understanding?
We're still early on, but I feel like most people understand what it is. I think the knowing exactly everything, there's still a lot to be learned in the industry and as a whole. We look at customer segments. The collision industry probably feels some of the most pain. The glass industry right there with it. The mechanical side, I don't think we've quite, they don't feel the same type of pain that the others do. And then in the dealership world, I think that there's still some growing pains there and maybe some understanding that needs to still happen. So it's an interesting thing to kind of step back, and I've been very fortunate enough to really be involved in all of those different segments of the automotive industry, and just to see the dynamics. So there is no exact science on what's going on, but everybody is feeling something along the way here with ADAS for sure.
That really is fascinating and really interesting to see that dynamic that you're able to see. Now, as far as the independent repair shops and on the mechanical side, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that they're facing right now in that situation?
I think right now it's selling the services. There is a huge need for calibration work on the mechanical side. After basic alignment work, it should be happening. It's not. It's a big gap in the industry. It's not only, I think, a training issue, but also just being able to have the skill set to actually sell those services and customers accepting the pay of something like that too, because there's a huge difference between insurance and collision versus the retail side and the maintenance of a vehicle. Obviously, the more calibrations are needed, the cost to do basic services goes up, and so that's a lot harder sell for these mechanical shops, in my opinion.
So there's really a lot of education that still needs to take place, not only for the technicians to understand the equipment and understand how to use it, but the shop managers, owners, service writers, and representing the ADAS service to the customers.
Yeah, and so the people bringing their cars in for service, they may not understand even what those systems are on the vehicle. They know that sometimes it overrides the steering or applies the brakes, but what does that really mean to them? I think there's still that education from a consumer level that has to really start happening. We're seeing more and more of that, especially on the glass side. We are seeing commercials that are finally filtering down to, the consumer. We need to do a lot more, so to really bridge this gap between the shop and the consumer.
Absolutely. I think some consumers, as you said, they aren't really aware what these systems are doing. In some cases, how do you turn this off?
Right.
Or something. They don't really realize all the benefits that ADAS is providing to them.
For sure.
So from the standpoint, you're Autel, you work with all this equipment, ADAS. What is Autel doing with ADAS equipment to help technicians learn and understand this system?
Well, this has really started from the day this company was developed. It was always, Gary DeLuca's motto was always, we want to build the best tools to give the most information and to complement the workflow needed for the technician to get the work done. And so when you look at how OEM tools are developed and made versus what we do in the aftermarket, we really cater to the technician experience. That workflow, again, is super important to us. We understand that if we simplify the process or we enhance the process so that the technician is successful, then they're more apt to want to use our tools. That's what we've always done. We're going to continue to do that. We will add new features that benefit the technician first, always, and complete the repair best. And so you will continue to see that. We're going to start using more AI into our tools. Some of the latest, the new S2, we have some AI built into that tool where it assists the technician. It helps them through the next procedure, and it interacts and it talks to them. So you're going to see our tools really evolve fast, just like technology on vehicles. The technology that's going into our scan tools and our ADAS equipment alike, TPMS tools, doesn't matter what it is, going to be very interactive with the technician and very complimentary of the work that needs to be performed.
That is awesome. Yeah, that's great stuff. I know if I was to get back in the field, which I do from time to time, I'm depending on this equipment to help me more than ever because there's so much information out there now. And I want to talk a little more about some of the specific Autel tools and equipment, but this might be backing up a little bit, but you mentioned earlier that the OEMs are on like an OE dealer level. There's some apprehension for ADAS. Is that different, compared to the independent repair facilities?
I think in the collision space, especially and the glass, there is such a appetite and a need to complete the repairs. I think on the dealer side, they're very much in tune with warranty work. They're trying to keep as much maintenance into their bays, which is really over time been reduced because of how vehicles are being produced. That they don't necessarily have their eye on the ADAS space the way some of the collision side does and the glass side. I think it's the pain, right?
Yeah,
they just don't see it because they're not asked to do it, or they may not fully understand how the system operates, and they're just not seeing it the same way.
Okay.
I think if if you're a dealership and you have a collision center, they're probably more apt to understanding. Not all dealerships have collision centers or doing work for collision, so there could be a little bit of, not saying it's a skills gap, but they're just not seeing it. So they're going to react differently to it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Presented from the Aishin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
Now, Autel has all this equipment. Now, talk about the mainframe. So you've got the new one, the IA 1000, yes. And then there's a 900. What's the difference between these different setups? And tell us a little bit about the brand new 1000.
So the difference between a IA 1000 and a 900 would be fully automated. And what that means is you position the 1000 close to the position it needs to be in, it takes over and it will automatically position itself. So pitch, roll, yaw, distance, height, it does everything just automatically. It moves the targets into position. It also has optional digital target boards. So it will automatically populate the right target. It'll also adjust for the lighting conditions. So one of the biggest failure points is lighting in a shop. Sometimes the cameras can't see the targets. We've addressed that concern. We now are able to get almost 100% calibration success and minimize the lighting concerns that are out there. So it's really cool technology. It's driven by our S2, our latest and greatest scan tool. So again, some of that AI is coming into the ADAS space. We're taking the opportunity for errors that can happen from human interfacing, right? Positioning targets. We're letting the machinery take over and ensure that it's in proper spec each and every time. So very repeatable, right? So, and again, eliminating the technician error aspect.
That is awesome. That's really cool. Now, I know that I've personally worked with the 900 and was really impressed about how it walked me right through the whole process. But the 1000, that sounds fantastic. I mean, that sounds like it's just the next step up for helping technicians out.
It is. It just takes that next level up. It increases the automation and again, eliminates the chance for errors, which is the biggest factor in all of this.
So the S2, that's the latest Autel scan tool, most advanced, and it has this AI built in.
Yeah, so it has, it's able to communicate with the technician. So if the technician needs to move on to the next step, it'll help interact with the technician, move to the next step that's in the process. So if the tech doesn't have the ability to touch the screen, now it can talk to the tool. It helps them through the next phase of everything. The S2 also has a really, really cool body damage reporting on it. So as the vehicle's coming in, you can take pictures. It uses AI to look at the damage on the vehicle. It documents it into the reporting. So really, really cool features there. And then on the topology side, so now when you look at all the modules on a vehicle and we're scanning, this is going to show you where the module resides on the car. It's going to help you with some of the wiring and understand how that system is operating on the car. So look at your topology 3.0, really takes it to the next level. Not only do you see the module and see if there's codes in it, but you can see where it resides within the system on the vehicle. So pretty cool stuff there too.
That's awesome. So it's just a comprehensive scan tool, everything. And these systems they are alignment and ADAS, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So on the IA 900 and the IA 1000, they're both an alignment system first and foremost. So you can do four-wheel alignments. There's advanced measurements. There's tire diameter. There's do your maximum caster sweeps. So there's so much information that's available, especially in this collision space. When more information is needed, we're able to provide all that really, really easily for the tech and the shop.
That is awesome. How cool. And now, what about that? There used to be a level of apprehension about, or concern maybe is a better word, about space. That was one of the biggest things. Everybody talked, I need this huge space to be able to do an ADAS calibration. Is that still true? And is there certain equipment, or is all this equipment taking advantage or making, almost shrinking those spaces?
So we're not able to shrink the space. The OEM and actually the camera manufacturers or radar manufacturers dictate how much space is needed, the size of the target, and so forth. But when you start looking at percentages, forward-facing radars and cameras take a lot less space than a round view. And so when we're looking at basic wheel alignment and maintenance, the forward-facing stuff is what those shops would be really performing. In the collision side, it's going to be all around the car, and it's going to be dictated on what system they're calibrating, and it could take more space in those situations. But overall, if we look at if you're just in the glass space alone, it's usually 16 feet in front of the car is as far out as you're going to be. And it's going to be 10 feet on average, and some of them are at the bumper. So in that glass space, you're not going to see the same thing as the collision space. Collision is going to be all around the car. Glass is going to be mostly in front of the vehicle.
Okay. So if you want to go all out, tell me about, now it's the Autel Baymax lift, correct? And the benefits of that, and exactly what is the Baymax lift? So
Baymax lift does a few things. One, it takes the metal coming up out of the ground, so now you don't have posts in the way, which can, impede not only ADAS calibration space, but also technician working area. It also gives you a flat level surface so that you're able to jump from wheel alignment to performing all around the car types of calibrations on a flat level surface.
Okay.
You can reposition the vehicle left to right, front to back. So take back that, let's say it's an alignment bay 32 by 16 on average, you can now go up to doing almost 90% of all calibrations just in that alignment bay today. So take that space back that you're already performing alignments, and let's start calibrating cars. And that's really the whole idea of the Baymax. Give you back the space that's usable, that you're already doing probably alignments in today, and let's do the rest of this work, or at least 90% of it.
That's awesome. A great way to take advantage of the space you have, and another tool that service writers and shop owners can understand that they have, and how to take advantage of their space, their technicians, and that productivity.
For sure.
So if you're a shop or you're a technician and you're looking to get into ADAS, what's out there, and you kind of want to really start to get ahead of things, what's something that you recommend for them to do?
Well, I think first and foremost, you do need to look at a training program. You need to have a provider that can either help you with that, or you know where to go. iCar has a lot of good places to get information, also training. We provide 2-day training classes. You can come to our facilities, get your technicians up to speed. There's a learning curve with this. So if you haven't been performing diagnostic work in a shop and no diagnostics, it's going to take you a little while longer to really catch on to this. So with that being said, we're going to help you with some of the training on that side. Another thing is obviously look at the space you do have. Look at the windows, look at your lighting conditions, the flat level floor. You want to try to make this the best possible calibration experience that you can. You want neutral colors. You want lighting that can you can either intensify or reduce. So that's a big deal. Having products that give you the ability to potentially interface with a factory scan tool may be needed or required. There's sometimes programming needed to do some of these replacement of modules and so forth. We have a nice program called Remote Expert. So you don't have to have a factory tool in your shop. You can use one of our experts that's been vetted, that has factory tooling that can help with some of those situations. So if you're looking for equipment that's not capable of doing that, you probably should look around and shop around a little bit. The other thing, look at somebody that can help you with, you got to market yourself out there. So not only do you need to market yourself to other collision centers in your market or glass, there's also this mechanical piece. So being able to have marketing materials for your consumers that are coming to you, make sure they understand what you're offering. And so they're more apt to pay, especially in this maintenance side on the repair. So those are just a few things.
Just a few things, yeah.
Right.
That is awesome. Fantastic information, Stu. I appreciate you joining me for this episode of Tool Time. And thanks, everybody, for watching and tuning in. And check out techshopmag.com for more episodes of Tool Time. And we'll see you next time.